Brian he's a legend. He's been great for me to have as an athletic director, to have a veteran coach.
He really is kind of the godfather of soccer in Oklahoma City. You could even argue in the whole state, and I don't want people to forget that.
He's meant so much more to this community, to this city, to youth soccer, to soccer in general around the country.
My mother's from Dallas, and my parents met in '78. He was living in Hong Kong at the time, wrapping up his professional career days. He transitioned to being a player coach, and he had an opportunity to come to Oklahoma City to be the head coach for a new pro team called the Oklahoma City Slickers. This is a big team, and the players that played on this team were players that at the time were finishing their careers in Europe. A lot of them had played for national teams in Germany or England, but they were on the other side of their career, coming over to the United States and trying to help further American soccer and elongate their careers.
OCU, then and now, was a well-run athletic department, and they were looking for the best coach to build a program. You got Brian Harvey sitting in town, and then OCU hired him. But Brian was just a great person to start building a program from the ground up. And he went out and he was smart, and he recruited the Dallas area.
I was recruited out of Dallas, Texas, and when I met Brian Harvey, I was in the Dallas area at a tournament called the Dallas Cup, and my coach said, "This guy Brian Harvey wants to meet you from Oklahoma City University." I heard he was starting this program. When I got here, it was just the 4th year of the program. He had just really started this thing.
Okay, and what do you two think of Brian Harvey, your coach?
Well, what I think of Brian, I really haven't signed my scholarship papers for next semester, so I'm not going to say too much, but he's all right, I guess, for an Englishman, He is all right. He's a good coach, and let's see, I guess he got me an internship, so hopefully it's going to pay off for my career.
And so, I really believed in what he was doing, and he really had this hotbed of talent coming out of Dallas, which is where I was from, and some of the guys he had poached were really good players that could have gone anywhere.
I was 15 years old when I met Brian. When he came to start the program here, he started the Spirit Soccer Club, which was the first ever soccer club for competitive soccer in Oklahoma, period. And other clubs have been created, and most of those clubs are actually coached and ran by people that played underneath him.
After the pro teams had kind of collapsed and they had been at the mercy of managers and owners who promised them paychecks that didn't arrive, they kind of thought, you know what, we're gonna start our own business and not be at the mercy of other people. And that business was Sports on the Go. And through that, they created Brian Harvey's American Youth Soccer Camps.
I think it was in maybe the early 90s, there was a groundswell of, we need to have a women's program too. And, well, who else to coach it? He did bring in Billy Martin, who was, on the dates that there were separate places, Billy could go with one of the teams.
I couldn't have asked for a better mentor. He was my coach in college, then he was my semi-pro coach, then I was his assistant. He was my boss, and then now he's, one of my best friends in the world. And like I said, every opportunity I've gotten in soccer was all because of Brian opening doors for me. And he's opened doors for so many alumni, doctors, lawyers, nurses, teachers, coaches. There's so many of us that are coaching youth level, college level.
Coach Harvey always says, if you can't play, you coach, and if you can't coach, you ref. And so thank God I'm not refereeing. Overall, I wouldn't trade it for anything to get to play for Coach. He is lighthearted when he needs to be, but he certainly knows how to get the best out of players.
One of the greatest things, in my personal opinion, about the athletic department is Brian Harvey. I love him. He's just great. He makes everything more fun, and he makes he makes the commitment that you have to give forward more worthwhile than maybe it would have otherwise been.
I've learned so much from him. He's extremely intelligent, but you can tell that he just wants you to love the game as much as he does.
When you come to college, your coach is basically like another parent. You see him more than you see your parents.
You can look at all his wins and losses, and that's great, but I think the relationships he has when people are gone really shows your success.
I have a hard time believing Energy FC's around if Coach Harvey didn't come to Oklahoma and kind of help develop the game. There's been a lot of people in the state who have helped shape the game, but he created the template for what soccer could be here, because people may not remember those teams in the 80s, but they would fill up Taft Stadium. And here we are, 30 years later, trying to do the same and carrying on legacy. And if he hadn't come through and he could have gone anywhere probably in the world and helped develop soccer, but he chose to stay in Oklahoma, and I think the soccer community is probably forever in his debt, because I probably wouldn't be where I am right now. You know, Energy FC may not be around right now without him, so I mean, I think everybody who's involved in the game today probably owes Brian Harvey a thank you. It's weird to think he's not coaching anymore, man. Kind of just now settling in for me too, because I really didn't think it was ever going to happen. When they announced it, I thought, nah, he'll push that back. He'll postpone that. He's not going to give it up.
At this time, Brian is the only soccer coach we've had in our history. He spent more time on that piece of grass than any other person. It exists because of his efforts. And so I can't think of a better way to celebrate what he's meant to us than to ensure that every time we walk onto that facility, every other young man or woman who comes to join our program is going to pass under and onto a field that bears his name.
First of all, I'm a little bit shocked that Brian Harvey is retiring and stepping away. I just assumed he would be here long after we were all dead and gone. He's an institution. He is a legend. And it's weird to think of Brian like that because, again, I got here 4 years into this, so it just shows you how damn old I am.
Yeah, we're worried about retirement. We knew it would come eventually. I am less worried than my mother. My mother retired 2 years ago, and I think she's desperately hoping to find a hobby for him. I mean, he's literally made a career out of the thing he loves, and not many people get to say that.
The main thing that brings me back is Brian. I mean, I love him. He's like a second father to me, and I support him, forever.
The Brian Harvey Endowment is our effort to secure the future of the OCU soccer programs. Brian has been here more than 30 years, and every one of those years, Brian has had to raise money to work on the field, money to provide some equipment for our teams, for travel to a competition. And Brian is determined, and I'm determined to help him to work to build the endowment.
I'm a huge supporter of the endowment program for a lot of reasons. It actually hits near and dear to my heart. We went to the national tournament in Boca Raton, Florida, my year. When we got there, we were in jeans, boots, t-shirts, whatever. Every other team that arrived there were in full kits. Sweats, blazers, whatever. Everybody was dressed the same, like a team. And we were like a bunch of hillbillies walking in there. Now, there was something kind of cool being the outsiders at this, fancy party, but that's not the way it should be. And if you're gonna have a program, you gotta do it right. And this endowment is a part of doing it right and making these kids feel good, making them look good. So you have that self-respect and you earn that respect out there in the community.
Every year we're building more and more, and hopefully we can get this Brian Harvey Foundation built up so we can help with some more scholarships and help keep it going strong and keep the tradition going. I mean, whoever comes in next is going to be a hard task. It's always the toughest following a legend, so whoever gets the job, hopefully with the alumni support, we can keep the program moving.
Referee!
Always yelling at the ref.
Quick, Jimmy!
I'd like to hear how Harv sounded, 30, 40 years ago.
Stop the clock! Stop the clock!